What's good, y'all? So I've been sitting here steady grinding my team. You know how I go at this point in the year. And actually, for the people who haven't been playing 2K at all, I just want to let you know to start the video that this game has actually been pretty fun so far, man. Some people are a bit torn about how the shooting patch came in. I'm a part of the majority that thinks that the shooting did need to be patched a little bit. I personally think, actually, if you were just to throw my opinion out there, why the fuck not? You're already watching. If you were really loving the gameplay before the shooting patch, I think you were just loving the idea that you were winning games so easily because people weren't shooting. Like, you love the fact that people weren't able to shoot and you were able to capitalize off of being able to score in transition, easy baskets in the paint, playing zone, that type of shit, you know. And you know, you might be able to get W's and win whatever like that, how you feel, but I don't feel like that gameplay was balanced. So I haven't even tried it with the shooting patch yet, but I still think there was a patch that needed to happen, and that's how I feel about that. So other than that, this game is doing really well so far. The gameplay is smooth. I'm happy with it. I'm having fun even playing against the computer. And so far in my team, everything is really well set up, really well designed, very much more MUT-like. And this is just a quick offshoot video idea I had because, like, reward token market players aren't exactly as popular as they were last year as far as like goals to get done to improve your team. But for the people that are still working through, because look, we're up to Ruby, right? The game's been out for about just a full weekend, and in the Ruby market only there's a couple hundred people in here, you know, at best. Okay, there's 1,000 people that pick Carry Kittles, so that's actually not that many people that, you know, like this time last year that was that many people on the Amethyst market. That's what people were grinding, you know, tokens, reward token market players. So it's still a thing, but it's not kind of a focal point because a lot of these players are fucking ass. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this video, because these token market players, right, all of them, every single tier, it's going to update every single season. So here, where you see season 1 will rise, and it lasts another 40 days. I don't know where it is. But when that 40 days is up, a whole new set of players will be on the reward market. So most people are probably just holding on to their tokens because there's not many good players worth it, and then they'll just spend them next season. So here are the ones that I would say to avoid, because everyone thought there were going to be some decent ones, some good ones, but boy, it gets really thin really quick. So just starting at the Emerald market, right, these, just looking at the dudes that I didn't pick, I think is enough to let you know who to avoid. I mean, Greg Anthony wasn't that bad. First up, I got Carl Landry, but it's just because he's not horrible, he's not bad, he's solid for an Emerald player. His rebounding's in the 80s and his mid-range is a 78. Not horribly slow, he has legs, like he's mobile, probably not really going to do much, and he has a couple of badges. However, I think there are just a lot more power forwards you can get that you don't really need to spend 3 tokens on him if you don't need to. Even the pre-order Zion, even the regular Zion that costs like 1,000 MT, I would use over Carl Landry. Next up, this dude right here who forgot to add an H to his name, Etan Thomas. Now, I like to say I know many a player that played in the NBA. You have to be an obscure ass nigga for me to never have heard of you before. Looking at his jersey, I assume this was during like the Michael Jordan Wizards era. That looks like the jersey, and I just never heard of him before, bro. If he was on the Jordan team, you know, I'd get why that team did nothing. Look at this motherfucker's stats right here. He is, oh, 87 block. That's not that bad. Okay, and he can board. You're not, okay, he's not as, what's his badges? Yeah, I don't think he's a necessity right here. I mean, for as far as centers go, you could easily go buy a Ruby center for like 2,000 and something MT and be doing a lot better than my boy Etan right here. So I would say avoid him as well. Greg Anthony, we said, it's not that horrible, not that bad. I just don't really need a small point guard. He's 6 feet tall, 176, barely the max weight, I mean minimum weight. Isaac Austin. Don't get it confused with Isaiah Austin, who is the player that got drafted but had a disease that didn't allow him to have his career. I've never heard of this nigga before. I've never seen your face. You kind of look like a created character in real life, not gonna lie to you. But the only reason he would have real value right now is because you see that little ring on his card. That means you could use him in the weekend league, My Team Limited, where there's a restriction on your team. So I mean, if you really needed somebody, I guess, but I'm still sure you could find a better center than this. He's probably slow. Yep, with those kind of stats and being that slow, you don't really have a use for this guy other than maybe exchanging him for some. Oh my god, he only has 1 badge, and I would never use him for backing somebody down. Don't get this man right here, bro. Don't get this one. Not him. Last up, we got John Concock.
What?
I don't really have use for him at the Emerald tier because he's only meant to be a defender. Can't do anything else, right? But at the Emerald tier, your defense is only gonna be so good. Take a look at that. 75 block, 58 steal. Interior defense is alright, but you really just a body out there. And he doesn't have fucking feet. He has a 40 speed. I don't know where you're fucking going, who you're catching, staying up with on defense, and 38 lateral quickness. Nigga, that is as slow as George Mirasan. So no thank you. I don't think he's a move right here. Badges, but it doesn't really matter. Now, as far as the players that I ended up grabbing, I think each of these players are kind of, I would say avoid Myers Leonard, not to not get him at all, but avoid picking him early if you think that you need a power forward or a big man that's going to be able to be a good knockdown shooter for you. He wasn't really fulfilling that for me, especially before the shooting patch, and he's meant to be out there to shoot and not anything else. And if it's already hard enough to shoot and you can't do shit else, look at these rebounding stats and his speed, it's kind of tough to give me a reason to leave you out there. So even though he might look like he would be a good pickup early, I think there's still better options. You know, obviously he should be one of the 10 that you grab, but not as lit as you might imagine. Eduardo Nahara, I mean, just for the fact that he's wearing the Mellow Nuggets jersey, like, that's enough to have you just in my collection. For the most part, pretty ass. I have no use for this guy. He's like a jack of nothing. He's like everything is in the 70s, which is just not good enough to be good enough. And he doesn't really have that many. Well, his badges ain't bad, but like I said, you're not really doing nothing for me, boy. And then also a Donald Foyle. This dude right here, he used to be a meme. Like, he used to be a punchline for me and my friends, like, as like a big man. Because we used to play MyTEAM a lot back in like 2K9. And it was just like, we were down bad when we knew we had to trade. Like, Donald Foyle was part of our trade. Like, he's on our team. You down bad. You just down bad, right? There's nothing really redeeming about this card other than his 90 block and a 92 close shot, and I'm pretty sure he can board up a little bit. The person I'd compare him to is maybe like a if you play team up a lot, that Irvin Johnson card on the 95 Supersonics, where literally all he does is block shots and get boards. So just, this is another version of him. I'm sure, no, I'm not sure. I don't see when I'd ever need to use this card ever. I might just exchange it one day. Next up at the Sapphire tier, these are the 5 I didn't pick. First off, we got Drew Gooden, which might not be a bad idea for some. I just didn't really have a need for him because shooting wasn't really that good. Looking back now, I mean, he probably would be better now that the shooting is kind of patched, because 88 mid-range on a Sapphire player is pretty good. So that's serviceable right there. I'm sure somebody could find a use for that. Plus, he can actually grab boards, and he has feet. He actually moves. He's mobile. Like Stephen A. Smith would say, he's mobile. He has a post move to his memory that he can put to work. And he has 17 badges, 10 of which being gold. So Drew isn't that bad of a pick. Luke Walton, nothing you're doing for me here, buddy. Your shot isn't good enough. Your passing isn't good enough. Your defense isn't good enough. Your rebounding is kind of alright for small forward. Your speed, you'd be alright at power forward. But your other stuff ain't got enough going on for me there. 17 silver badges, though, is where they try to make up for it. But maybe he would be good in a weekend league scenario. I just don't. Not me. Ryan Hollins. Now, I didn't even look at his stats. I don't really give a fuck what his stats are. I'm actually seeing them right now for the first time with you. The reason I would just say avoid him is because of all of his horrible takes on first take. Just for everything that I've seen Ryan Hollins say on TV, I just never want him to be a part of my collection. Just get this trash ass nigga out of here, man. I want nothing to do with him, and if you found a use for him, good for you. Scott Pollard. Now, his stats weren't that horrible. Let's just check that again. 84 mid-range at a center is pretty decent. 75 block, he can board up. He has no feet. His badges were not that horrible, but the reason I didn't want to pick Scott Pollard is because his face absolutely disturbs the fuck out of me. When you zoom in on this motherfucker's face, he looks like, I can't tell if he's in love with me, wants to kill me, if he's excited, aroused. It's a combination of emotion that just really makes me uncomfortable, and I wouldn't want to scroll by that face in my collection because it's gonna throw me off. So I don't really think anyone, and he doesn't even have a second T in his name. That's just extra weird. So just avoid this guy right here. Serial killer vibes, don't really need it. And finally, Tom Sanders, who is completely meant for defense. He has one of the highest defensive overalls I've seen of any player so far, but just he is so limited on offense where it's like I can't even imagine. He would be like a situational stop kind of guy. And this right here, his interior defense is a 95, which is lovely, but I wish the block was higher. I wish the steal was higher. Rebounding is all right. He's not that fast, but he can move, and he has decent amounts of badges, but they're all defensive. So even if you put him in the game, he has low offensive stats and no offensive badges. So that's rough. It's like a defensive possession only type of guy. So I didn't really have a need for that. And those are the 5 I didn't pick. As far as who I have in my collection, honestly, all of these 10 are not bad. I mean, the only guys, because even Ricky Rubio has a shot. Like 70s is higher than I was expecting for Ricky Rubio. Of course, we got to get Deshaun Stevenson, who is LeBron's arch nemesis. This should be one of the first people you pick. Just Google, not even Google, YouTube Deshaun Stevenson and LeBron James, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Just even Jay-Z, I think this man in bars on wax because of LeBron. But this man is a goon, bro. He has a good 3-point shot with the patch now. That's definitely gonna hit. And his defensive stats are just exceptional. He has almost the AT steal, which at this point in the year is actually solid. The steal stat is kind of underwhelming. Good defense, decent speed, can play the 2-3, lateral quickness, and some good badges on him. I would definitely say he's one of the better Sapphires. Next to him, though, I gotta tell y'all to grab Kendall Gill. For some reason, Kendall Gill, even while that shooting was just so horrid for me, I was greening with this guy for somewhere, and he's not even a shooter. His jump shot feels good. He plays good defense, and he dunks everything whenever I don't get blocked, you know? I really love this Kendall Gill card. He feels effective. His badges are very decent too. Catch and corner on goal are so huge, especially with the shooting right now. And then he has some defensive ones. I don't like that he has steady, but he's been a really good player for me, and even has bronze range extender, which caught me off guard. Good pickup right there. Final thoughts, I think Byron Russell, I mean, I just picked him because if you look in his face, he looks like Jimmy Butler bald. Like, really looks like bald Jimmy Butler. But he is, if you didn't know, this is the man that Michael Jordan on the 6th championship ring against the Utah Jazz gave him that little shove, pulled back, held the gooseneck on the follow through, and won his 6th ring. So I feel like just having that in your collection is bad luck. I understand if you don't want that, but his stats are decent. He's gonna hit a shot, you know, and he plays a little bit of defense. Not a bad pick either. And now finishing up at the Ruby tier, I think there are only a couple Ruby players that are really worth it. So far, the only one that I have picked is my man right here. Where are we at? The man, the myth, the legend, Thunder Dan Marley. Playing small forward for me right now. Great 3D player. His shot is high as shit. I'm sure after the shooting patch now, that's going to feel even better. Dunking isn't as high as I thought it was going to be. They did call him Thunder Dan, and his more OP cards have a really good dunk. But his 3D is all I care about, especially at the small forward position. So if he can't yam, that's okay. And his badges are solid as hell. Has all the badges I would want him to have. Hot Zone Hunter especially nowadays. Good pick. Now going back to the market itself, to be honest with you, this Alvin Adams isn't bad. The center position is kind of thin right now if you're not running through domination. Not horrible. He has a really good post game, close shot, mid-range shot, and he boards and gets blocks. His blocks is at 81 and high rebounding, and he's mobile, has feet at a 63 speed. I don't think he's a bad idea whatsoever, and I might even grab him. And a center with dimer, gold dimer too. That's a rebound, kick out, shot boost. You know, I fuck with that. Deep fades, dream shake, solid guy right here. A guy people think are really enjoying is Kerry Kittles right here. He has over 1,000 picks, one of the most picked people at the Ruby board, and I'm interested in trying him out. He's kind of like another version of Dan Marley when you look at his stats. So if you're torn between, you know, you don't really know if you want Dan Marley, I'd say take a look at Kerry Kittles. see if he interests you in any way. How many badges does he have? 15 gold badges, which is I think less than Dan. But after that, I would say Jeff Hornacek. Obviously, it's just because he can shoot, but he can't do anything else. Like that 90, 80, 92. That's all he is right here. That's all you're spending the tokens on. Ball handling is there, but I'd be surprised if you're running the ball with Jeff Hornacek. And the defense is serviceable. It's just like a flat 80, and he's not really that quick at all. So you know what you're guessing with him. Here, Donyell Marshall. People are picking him as well as Keith Van Horn because they can play small forward, power forward, and they're like stretches. So Donyell doesn't look like that bad of an idea for a stretch big. Yeah, not so bad at all. Not really gonna rebound that much. And the same thing goes for my boy right here, Keith Van Horny. He's 6'10" at the small forward, by the way. That's probably one of the biggest attractions to him. And he has a good shot, so I definitely see people sticking him at the power forward. Rebounding isn't that bad. I would just like a little bit more from my power forward. And other than that, fuck all the rest of these niggas. This Ruby tier market right here, it's asking you to pick 12 to get to the Amethyst market. Not worth it at all. Not worth it. Let me see who's here. And even at the Amethyst market, it's thin, bro. Only a few of these, like Eddie Johnson, maybe Kelly Tripucka, Sean Elliott, World Be Free. So there's maybe three to four people in Leitner, 3 to 4 people at the Amethyst market that are even worth it. So I would advise you to, you know, maybe focus on other areas of the mode right now if you're not that already concerned about the token market. And those are the people that you should look out for and the ones that you should avoid, in my opinion, so far. Is anyone at the diamond? Anyone? No? Not one? 0, 0, 0? Yeah, nobody's at the diamond market yet. You know, this time last year, within the first few days, people were trying to get there, completing collections to lock in for tokens to get there as quick as possible. Not so much to start this year, just because the crop of players so far is just meh. So hopefully this video helped you out, and I will see y'all later.